I tell them, I said, hey, mommy has a call or she's doing something, and they typically chill out. Today,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because it's Thursday or he's just in his own little game system, like,
Right.
try my patience, try my patience. Hi, everybody on Facebook. Erica and I are on Zoom. We can see each other. And so I will upload the video so you can see her, but you'll be able to
Bye,
hear her.
everybody. I'll get it together sooner or later.
Girl, you got it. You got it, girl. You got it. Okay. All right. So let's go. Happy lunchtime. Thank you for your lunch.
Thank you. Of course.
And
Love to spend lunch with friends, so this is exciting.
yes. And what came to my mind when after we text was like, hey, let's talk about relationships. And the reason I said relationships because I look at you and I feel like you have some really great relationships across the board, and especially with your sons. And then I thought about your love.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I thought about your next steps, because you are like a master at taking the next step no matter what it is. And I admire that in you. And I remember, I don't know if you remember this conversation that came to my mind after I was like, oh, let's talk about this. Remember we were talking and we were at the orange tree, our infamous orange tree. If you ever come to my house, we always at this orange tree dealing with, I thought it was a lemon tree. Erica told me to leave the tree alone. This year we actually received oranges off the tree. And so they're good too.
And they were delicious. I cut them up and we enjoyed them. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. So she's helping. Erica has a niche. So Erica, tell the people a little bit about you, but let's talk about that, because one of those conversations was like, Erica is a master in taking the next step no matter what it is. You're just a master at it. So tell people a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do. And we've been friends, I'll tell them, for over, I'm going to tell all my age. It's been over 20 plus years.
Yeah. Are we close to 30 almost?
I think so.
Wow. Okay. First of all, thank you for the compliment that I really don't think I deserve. I was a mouthful that I would not give myself, but thank you for that. Let's see. I am lots of things. Full-time employee. I'm working from home right now during this crisis, and mom of 4 boys.
Four boys.
Normally, Normally, I just leave it at that. But I think for this conversation, I'll go into depth at my husband and I have a blended family.
I love that. Yes.
It is truly, truly blended. So most times I tell people we have 4 boys.
Yes.
Those that know me know that I only birthed 2 of them.
Yeah.
And I was blessed with an additional 2.
Okay.
So we just refer to them as our boys, both my husband and I.
Yes.
And people that know my birth boys are 13 years apart. With the second one being, a result of divorce and, reconnecting with an old neighborhood friend. That's a whole nother story, but
we may get into some of that.
Yeah, I mean, because it truly is just a story that I probably need to write down at some point. I just haven't gotten to that, but there's been lots of ups and downs. I went to school. Let me back up. I'm just trying to summarize it. It's
Take
a
your
lot,
time.
Mosi.
And if I see questions that come up on the Facebook side, I'm going to tell you what they ask. But yeah, you went to school.
Okay, perfect. So, oh gosh, we met in high school at some point or another. But upon finishing high school, I was a young mom and wife for the first time at 18.
Yes.
With with my high school sweetheart for about 10 years.
Yeah.
Had a epitome, and we grew apart. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
We grew apart and took several years. I took maybe 2 years to rediscover me, and focus on my son, who really had a difficult time adjusting to that period. I don't know, 4 or 5 years later, met my current husband, who I prayed for, ironically, not for him specifically, but prayed for someone who was familiar and comfortable, so that I didn't have to go through the whole dating, interviewing, who are you, who's your family, call my friends and do a background check on you type of deal. Because I have those connections. So, for those that know me, if you need some insight, let me know. Reintroduced to my current husband, and we have been together for, I think almost 12 years now.
Wow, because Christian's are almost 11, right?
Yeah, Christian will be 11 this year. Okay. We, so 2006. Okay. 2006, something like that. Not married right away. We've only been married, oh Lord, can't remember, maybe 5, 6 years.
Don't tell nobody. Sorry, Brother May.
He knows it to a T. Time just goes on, and I've enjoyed everything about it. The ups and the downs and the indifference. And the good thing is that we are equally yoked. He's a family man. He loves the Lord. Yeah. And it just, even though we grew up on different sides of the track in the same neighborhood, we have similar spirit. Right. So, what else? It took me 18 years to finish college. Between being married at 18 and starting school at 17 and taking a break and working 2 jobs and going to school and
a couple moves.
All of that. Several moves and a divorce and family issues and concerns. And there's just been lots that have gone on. So the one thing that I have carried with me throughout is my faith. And it's just gotten stronger. And that is one thing that I just refuse to waver on. And that has kind of carried me through to this point. And so there's been lots of job changes. We moved to Wyoming for a couple of years.
She was the first person.
Yes, I'm Black. And there's no one in Wyoming who is of African American descent except for the 3 of us and maybe 2 others. But that was an experience. Wow. And so it's just been a roller coaster.
Let's talk about the Erica now. And then we'll go back and talk about some of those changes that we're talking about now, because of course we always want to be of aid to someone else that you may find themselves in a situation, a similar experience and things like that. But let's talk about you now. What are some of the things that you value now, and how do you maintain as a mom and as a wife the ability to position yourself for the excellence of your family and your personal well-being?
The me now values her sanity.
That's good.
2016 was challenging for me because I had adult children that were losing their minds, and I am involved actively in my children's lives, my husband's lives, my family. I tune into all of that. Right. And it almost killed me, honestly. The stress of it all sent me into a different arena. And that was kind of a turning point for me that redefined who I am today. Okay. My kids, the oldest 2 were just...
How old are your kids?
Out. Okay, so the oldest one is 27,
Mm-hmm.
and then 23,
Mm-hmm.
22 in a couple of months.
Uh-huh.
No, this is April. 22 next month,
Okay.
and 10.
Right.
Was that 4?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Because
My
along the
girl.
way, I've adopted some of their friends as my children as
Yes,
well. So,
which typically happens with, especially with boys. Yeah.
yeah. So, oh, I'm sorry. And we have a daughter, my oldest son's stepsister. So we have taken her on. Oh, that's a whole nother situation. They lost their mom. And so we felt it necessary to reach out and latch on to her and new baby as well. And I'm a grandma. I'm sorry. Forgot all about that too. Jesus.
Family.
So it's just been 2016 defined me because I had Bell's palsy as a result of the stress that I was internalizing from the issues that my boys were going through as young adults, the decisions they were making. And we have to be careful how much we involve ourselves to a certain point, because there's not a lot that we can do. And so anyway, the stress of all of that sent me onto a whole nother path that was really shocking and life altering for me.
Wow.
For those who don't know what Bell's palsy is, it mirrors a stroke, but you don't have you don't necessarily have those permanent effects. So there's a drooping of the face. It's really more. It's either acute trauma to the face or stress induced. And so I was at work and just losing my mind, and then I felt my face go numb.
Wow.
It me into a panic, and that just transcended into a whole mental breakdown.
Okay.
And so at that point, I had to redetermine what was important in my life, the little things or the long game. And so I just kind of had to shift how much energy I put into everything.
Yes.
Is it worth the stress? Is it worth getting into this? Is it going to send me down a whole nother path? Because with Bell's palsy, it can reoccur. So the me now really takes time out to meditate mentally, evaluate whether situations really require my attention or not. And that has kind of gone across everything that I'm involved in. And then having the desire to always want to do more in my life. And so everything that I do, I try to do it intentionally, intentionally make impacts that are beneficial to anybody else. And so really focusing on my goals, really focusing on being the best me that I can be.
Yes.
And with that, there's a trickle down effect that flows into everyone that I'm connected to.
You're getting some love and likes on this side. Yes.
Yeah. So that's really who I am today. I'm intentional in everything that I do, say, and involve myself in, and with care, not to overdo it.
So talk to us about some of the things that you've done to reduce your stress or to manage it better, because we know at some point there is a level of stress that is inevitable, but you have some very creative things that you're doing that bring you joy and that seem to minimize it. So what are some of those things you've done in therapy and things like that?
I'm a busybody naturally, so
she ain't lying.
Staying busy really helps me to refocus my purpose and my level of stress.
And when you say busybody, you're not talking about just running around town. You're actually talking about engagement and involvement in activities, right?
Yes. So with our 10-year-old, as most 10-year-olds, we want to make sure he is actively involved in as much as possible. It's not fair to him that we have busy lives as adults.
Yeah.
And so we make sure that he has a full schedule as well.
Okay.
If you know me, my kids have to be doing something.
Right.
Sports, academics, you got to do something. You know, you find out what you're good at. If you're not good at that, and then, you know, find something else. But we are about starting things and finishing things. So with that being said, I try to stay active in his school life, you know, making sure that I show up, you know, when my job allows me to, making sure I've joined, I don't know how many team dynamics, you know, for football or for karate, basketball. I've been a part of his football commission.
Yeah.
I've been a team mom several occasions. I've also been involved with creating a Black History program for his school this past February, which was amazing. In addition to, I don't know, mostly there's
okay. Then let's see.
So many things.
Like you said, it just continues. Like keep them busy. They're boys. 4 of them, 3 of them are grown, and the 4th one thinks he's grown, and probably is more grown than the older ones. I don't know how that
he really criticizes the older ones, which is hilarious. You know, he always reminds me how lazy they are. But at any rate, and doing all of that and making sure that our goals are still intact. So I think one of the things that helps me focus and maintain my stress is to always revert back to my goal list, my personal goal list. There's a goal list for our family. Years ago, probably before Christian was born, we decided that we wanted a house. Yes. And so that seed was embedded early in our relationship, and things that we did in terms of buying things really contributed to that along the way. Yes. And 6 months ago, we bought our first house.
Congratulations.
So, thank you. So just making sure that everything that we do goes towards either personal goals, family goals, goals for our kids, you know, things of that nature. And that kind of keeps me centered and not focused on the BS that my kids may bring in because they're going through life and it's so difficult for them to make decisions or deal with the decisions that they're making. And so I have consciously, when they bring stuff to me, consciously tell myself, does this warrant my full attention? Does this warrant a response?
Right.
What are they looking for from me? Because years ago, I would just jump in and go, you got a problem? Okay, this is how we're going to fix it. And my 23-year-old gently reminded me that he didn't ask me for any of that. And as a parent, you always want to think that you know what's best for your child. Yes, until they become an adult of their own. Right. And then you have to kind of switch gears and as things are introduced to them, their peers, their life choices, and, you know, they think that they know everything. And of course, we know nothing because we've never been through anything. I really had to step back and go, are they even asking me for my advice? Because I've been giving advice away for free and they're not taking it. So I just decided I'm no longer going to waste my time if they're not asking. So when they do come up and we speak there's no holds barred with our sons. We talk about any and everything. Right. People are blown away at how candid we are with our conversations. Being a mom, one of the things that was important to me was to not sugarcoat things. Because life is hard. If you sugarcoat it, then you're not really preparing them for what's inevitable. Being fired, being hired, the reality of school. A couple of the boys excelled in school. A couple of them are hands-on learners. And so really catering to individual needs and really knowing who they are, knowing who my husband is, knowing who my mother is, and how her role has changed in my life. I'm really thoughtful in every interaction that I have because if I'm going to interact with someone, it has to matter.
Yes.
It's meaningful. It has to count. And even if that means that I don't say anything. So I just have really made it a point to pray to God and ask Him to reveal to me what it is that is being sought through me from my sons, my peers, my husband, anybody that I'm interacting with. I say a quick prayer to allow me to be open to receive whatever it is that I'm being given, and then give me wisdom and insight on how to respond.
That's key. You said that your interactions have to be meaningful. And so, and it's not just, everybody in your space and now I got something to say. It's just like, let me listen to what they're saying and see if, like you said, response is warranted. If they just want me to listen, you have this, but this is what I want the people to know. You have this amazing ability to tune in and position a person to receive what you got to tell them. It's like, it's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. But it's like, it's really good because, like, we'll talk about anything. We're talking about any type of conversation. And you see, like, mostly you need to address this. But I'm like, we're not going to talk about that right now. And somehow we end up in a conversation about the exact thing that I was choosing to brush over. And you need people like that in your life. So, I mean, thank you. Thank you that just say, hey, I know you may not want to talk about this right now, but I feel in my spirit I need to tell you something. Or
and you hit it right on the nose. It's not me.
Yeah.
That is not anything that I voluntarily do. If you really, I'm an introvert by preference.
I know that. And I'm like, Facebook doesn't know that, we'll talk about that in a few moments.
Oh,
but
goodness. Yeah. So a lot of things that I end up doing are led from my soul.
Okay.
And not necessarily from my head, because I prefer for people to leave me alone. But my inner soul requires me to be present and to be engaged. Even before I met you, I think my first few weeks of high school were just odd and awkward and just weird in so many different ways. Wow. And the one thing that people don't know about me, that know me, don't realize that there was a point where people thought I was deaf because I didn't talk. I've always been a listener, but I have developed in so many different ways that have allowed me to speak up and speak out about my thoughts, my feelings, my opinions.
Right.
And then I had to learn how to scale back when ain't nobody asked me nothing, and here I am just running my mouth. Right. And so I think part of my profession in HR has taught me to listen, investigate, and then a part of it is innate.
Yes.
But also, I've read a lot. I've read a lot of books. I've attended a lot of seminars. And I think when you talk about me tuning in, I read a book, and I'll have to get the reference later, but it was The Art of Communication. I have it here somewhere. It was the best course that I had ever attended, and it was put on by Los Angeles PD for women officers. Okay. But short story, it taught me how to tune into different people, auditory listeners, visual learners. There's 4 or 5 different categories, and people tune in different ways. Okay. And naturally, being an observer, I observe first and learn what works for people in order to engage them.
Got it.
And because I'm naturally that way, it was easy for me to tune in once I got, they learn this way. So the best way to get them to receive a message is to present it this way. Okay. So I've always been a student first. I've always wanted to learn more and then apply what I learned.
Let's talk. Let's get into these boys.
Oh, Jesus.
Let's talk about your
My
blended
husband-
family and
Okay.
raising boys, all boys. Get excited of being the only girl in the house, the only woman in the house. What?
Yes.
Tell me what that's like.
I wouldn't trade it for the world. I always knew I never wanted a girl because it's just a different dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I don't think that I would be amazing as a girl mom, but it takes too much energy. We think too much. And having a goddaughter, I am learning that thank you, Jesus, for not giving me girls. I'll probably be in jail by now. But raising boys has been a joy. From birth and even entering into one of my son's life when he was 15,
Mm-hmm.
and feeling as though he didn't need another mom at that point,
Mm-hmm.
but here I am, and that's a sensitive subject as well. But boys are simple. Once you tune into them, you can mold boys. Usually, they just require routine.
Routine. Mm-hmm.
You can get them on a routine,
Okay.
and they will probably stick with it.
Okay.
But a lot of it has to do with their individual personalities as well.
Yeah.
And two of my boys, one of them, I really didn't get to learn about him and his personality until he was about 9.
Okay.
That one is number 3. I first met him physically while we were in Wyoming,
Okay.
and he was quiet, but he really latched on to my number 2,
Okay.
which is my birth son.
Right.
And so I really you have to know when to step in and when to step back.
Okay.
And so as with all children, they're all individual.
Mm-hmm.
And both me and my husband, we are a united front always in front of them. And that was intentional on my behalf.
Okay.
Just because I am an observer of people, I don't ever want people to feel slighted or left out or overburdened or so on and so forth.
Okay.
And so, raising my 23-year-old, my birth son, my oldest birth son, and then being introduced to the oldest son at 15,
Right.
there's a different dynamic. Being involved in a young boy's life at birth and then coming in later, I noticed a lot of differences. They are very similar, but the rearing is different.
Okay.
And although they became friends, they have their own dynamic. And you just really I think you have to pay attention to that. I am intentional about how I'm treated by my husband.
Yes.
And I'm intentional about how I'm treated by everyone. Because your kids are watching, girls, boys, anybody. Right. They're watching how you treat others and how you allow others to treat you.
Wow.
And so there's always a level of respect. And I really think it has a lot to do with, number one, my oldest son. Number 2, special number 2. They're all special, and in my phone they're listed 1, 2, and 3. The youngest one doesn't have a phone, but
wow.
The divorce, my divorce really almost broke my son's spirit, and for his dad and I, it was awful, but I was intentional about, because I didn't have a father in my life, I did not want that for my son.
Right.
So I always made sure that I maintained respect and integrity in dealing with his dad.
Yeah.
In his presence.
Yes.
And so I carried that along with my husband's oldest son. and how their dynamic was very different, and making sure that I supported him in communicating with his son
Okay.
while staying on the outside
Mm-hmm.
until he was comfortable enough to allow me in to the situation.
Wow.
Um, mostly, it's a lot. It is a lot. Um,
We're gonna continue to unpack it. Don't worry. Not all
yeah,
today, but over these next several weeks and
yeah,
things.
because I have to say that a lot of this stuff I just did without thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's a lot of painful moments, but God has always been first in every interaction. And I think
Yes.
that that's key. You need to have a source of faith, a source of higher reverence, or a source of power to where you draw from, because I didn't have people in my life that I could go to and get advice from, because nobody was going through the dynamic with me.
Right.
I was the first of all of my friends to have a child, to be
Yes.
married, and all of these things.
Right.
And so I really had to figure it out without that help. I come from being raised by a mother and a grandmother, and a big family in terms of extended family. However, I never wanted my children not to have both of their parents in their life.
Right.
And so if we talk about being just like our parents, and some things come naturally, there were things that I was intentional about.
Yeah.
There were things that, being raised in my own life, that I didn't want to repeat for my own family. And so I was very conscious about what I'm teaching my children, what I'm showing them through my own life, so that they can be productive citizens. Because honestly, a lot of things that I did exact opposite of how I was raised by my mom, because there was a lot of things that I didn't like and I didn't appreciate.
And the dynamic that you were raising sons, that are going to become men.
Yes.
And that shift, I think sometimes, I know for me, I found it a little harder. And a friend of mine, I don't know if he's watching, he said, mostly, what did he say? He said, you have to lead him to independence. And I'm like,
yes,
you're right. These are going to be the head of households. And,
right.
I joke, but I'm very serious about choosing my sons' wives and making sure they have women of wisdom, godly wisdom. Amen. Because there's going to be a point in time that they're going to go against your grain. Yeah.
It's so funny. Our oldest son falls head over heels all the time. You wink at him and he's yours.
I'm not laughing at it, but you're hilarious. You gotta see your face.
And he may watch this at some point or not, but we have that relationship that he knows. I mean, he means the world to me.
Yes. And
the second one is really kind of a very independent, and I have yet to meet anybody significant to him other than just friends.
Wow.
He is very careful about who he brings around. Whereas my oldest, he was excited for everybody to meet, whoever it was, whether they were good for him or not. Okay. And in both of those situations, we really had to be careful about how we brought these girls in, how we received them, and the dynamic that was going on between them, their relationships. Because the more you disagree, the more it pushes them into that situation. And so at some point, I had to reach back and call my own ex-father-in-law for some advice on raising boy.
Wow.
And it was huge. And that wasn't even for his grandson. It was for our oldest son. But yes, you really have to lead them into living a life of a respectable man.
Yeah.
And as a woman, that means you teach them how to treat other women by showing them how to treat you.
Yes. Yes.
And you know, with my my firstborn son, we did mommy Sundays, you know, where I gave him a pocket full of money. You know, he picked a restaurant or the movie, and I had 9 years old. He was paying. You know, he'd step out in front of me. I'd have him order. I'd have him open doors. You know, and look people in the eye and shake their hand and be vocal and be intentional about their interactions.
Right.
And I'm proud of that. You know, because as a woman of color, raising men of color, having everything under the sun going on and full-time work and all of that, we forget the common courtesy that's lacking right now.
Yeah.
Saying God bless you, saying good morning or you're welcome, or opening the door, you know, for somebody else who's coming in. It's not about you. It's just about being nice.
Right.
Those things can be forgotten just like that. And you have to, we talked about, I think the last time we talked about intentional teaching.
Yes.
You have to make it a priority to teach those things that are being forgotten right now.
A priority to teach those things that are being forgotten. That is true.
Because when they leave us, although I guarantee you they give me the blues, but I get nothing but compliments from people outside of our household about how they interact with other people.
Okay.
I get phone calls going, oh my God, I saw your son and he's so pleasant. And I'm like, that knucklehead, he won't even respond. Return my phone call. You know, so as parents, we'll never see it until they interact with other people and we're in the background. And so that's always hard. Is what I'm teaching really sinking in, or is it not?
Right. But then you get to see the knowledge applied elsewhere.
So,
gosh,
I don't even know where we are.
I mean, I think this is good.
And I can tell you, church has not always been the forefront of the situation.
Right.
You know, I think that's one part that I have lacked, is making sure that they have that foundation. When you got so much going on, something is going to fall by the wayside. But I have been intentional about letting them hear me when I pray.
Wow.
Or when I have personal victories and I want to shout to God, I am intentional about letting them hear me. And like my 10-year-old, he's like, what are you doing? But it forces me to have to explain why this is important. Wow. He hates going to church because he feels like
I'm going to tell the people that just joined us on Facebook, we're talking to Erica Fields May, about relationships and focusing really on the relationships she has with her son. She has 4 sons in a blended family. And one of the things that I keep hearing you say is the intentionality of your thoughts, of your time, of the activities that you engage your sons in, you engage the people you engage yourself with. And and thank you, Pastor Oliver. And just being present to what you're seeing, hearing, and feeling in your soul, and hearing in your spirit. Like, okay, how do I need to show up for them? How do I need to show up? Am I just listening? Am I actually giving advice? And actually asking the hard questions. You know, I think you do really good at that. Opening up dialogue to say, you know, if anything you have is the ability to communicate. And I think that we are underrating that right now. So now we're going to switch. We're underrating that ability to communicate right now with this pandemic. And probably, I'm not going to say all. I think we're starting to do better. But let's talk about that and asking the hard questions. You know, I think that it's easy just to talk, but sometimes you got to get in there and dig in there and be like, look, this pattern is repeating.
Yeah. You can't be afraid that they're going to go, oh my God, why is she asking me that?
Mm.
Initially, I think initially it started with punishing my kids. You know, when they do something wrong, oh, I'm punishing you. You're grounded for however long.
Right.
And, you know, they give you that look.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, like they could just punch you through the next wall. And I just addressed it.
Okay.
And I think it shocked special number 2. It shocked Malik the first time I had to really punish him because he was acting out in school. And he gave that look. And I said, I know you want to curse me out. And you know what? And I gave him the F-bomb. And I said, I know you like F you, Mom. But of course I said the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he just looked at me in shock like, she done lost her mind. But I wanted him to know that I understand those thoughts and feelings.
Right.
I know you want to tell me, F you, Mom. It doesn't even matter as long as you don't let it fly out your mouth.
Right.
It is okay to think and feel that way. But remember, you must maintain respect at all times.
Right.
And I think early on, we have allowed our children to respectfully say their piece, knowing that it probably is not going to change anything, but at least I can understand how you feel about it.
Right.
And I think just seeing that look and addressing it right on,
right.
He laughed about it, but he still knew you're still on punishment.
Right.
You know, and then when we finally got all 4 boys under the same roof for like a period of 2 or 3 weeks, one of my sons lives in Memphis. And so he was the last to join all of us, you know, collectively. And by that time, they're all young boys, you know, either between 19, 20, and 15 or whatever. The 3 older ones.
Okay. And
just saying, hey, you guys, that new contraceptive had came out, the Plan B.
Oh.
And I had heard about it, and I just was like, I don't know if they know anything about it.
Okay.
And there's no real way to introduce that information. So we're in the car going to Magic Mountain, mind you.
Okay.
And I just said, hey, you guys, you ever heard about the Plan B? And of course, the whole car is like, what in the world is she talking about? And I just turned around and I said, okay, don't act like you have no idea. If you don't, this is what it is. And they sell it at the drugstores. Did you guys know that? And of course, number 3 is like, did she just really say that? And number 1 is like, you'll get used to it, bro. It happens. She's so random. And of course, they get a little silent. And that's when I look to my husband like, come on, you know. And he's like, yeah, you know. And so we kind of start the dialogue. They never join in. Not at that point. They were just like, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph.
Right.
But it makes me feel better that you're going to hear it from somebody.
Mm-hmm. Might as well start at home.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so my thought was, this is what it is. This is what it's for. This is where you can buy it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you all of this because none of you guys are old enough to be responsible for having a child. And if you get yourself caught up in the situation where you don't have a condom, in the moment, you really want to screw her, and they're like, oh, Jesus, did she go there? Yeah.
I told y'all it was unscripted.
It's unscripted, but I just need you to get it.
Yeah.
Don't respond if you're not comfortable. But this is the problem. If you don't have $40, call me and ask me for it. Mm. Because what you're not going to do is come up and go, so-and-so's mom wants to talk to you.
Wow.
I don't want that conversation.
Okay.
And you don't have to tell me what you need it for. Mm-hmm. But if you slip up and now you got to go home because I'm calling you and you're not responding to me, and you remember that, oh my goodness, it was raw. Come get this $40, and I don't know how you're going to do it, but you're going to say, hey, you need to take this, or whatever the case may
Woo!
be.
But I think
Safety
that's a good
first.
conversation to have because it's a good conversation to have with young men to say, hey, let's talk about parenthood and the ability that you know how to produce the seed that will implant an egg that will create a baby, and how to
Right.
be responsible on your side on all engagements of it, not just on
Yeah.
the girl later on, but like you're a young man.
Right.
Yes, there's protection, but you know what? I'm gonna get into it. Not just protection of the physical sense, but protection of the emotional sense. Like, what does it
Absolutely.
mean to engage with a young woman sexually, and
Absolutely.
the drama
And right.
you can introduce into
And
your
me and
life?
my husband don't share the same opinion either. So
Mm.
that's what makes it even more interesting, because I am more of a, oh, you're going to, either you're in love or you're just doing it because you can.
Uh huh.
And those are two different schools. And then you have this third school who it's derived from Pimpology 101. Because the dad is like, hey, screw the hoes
And get it,
and
and
don't
get
get
it.
involved emotionally. And so they really get three different points of views other than their own,
And I laugh, but
because
we know that
we're
it's still
not.
out there. It is still out there. Like,
Yeah,
no matter how holy you want to raise yourself to be,
right,
we've all had moments. Bless the people who ain't never had a moment. Let me say that right now. Bless you if you've never had a moment, and you know,
right,
and you
right,
got married, and then you had no fornication before it, and life was great for you.
right.
Bless you. I'm acknowledging that is a standard. That is something that not all of us can attest to. And to those
Yes,
who have fallen short, the reality that there are still mantras and thoughts of what it means to engage in, and I'm not going to call it intimacy, because I believe one of the most intimate relationships I had with a person, we would never physically, we had never crossed that
right.
line, never. But
And
he was the most
I
intimate
think
relationship I've ever had.
kids right now have no idea what intimacy is,
Mm,
because the media sensationalizes the act and not the respect of the situation.
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
so, both me and my husband,
Yeah,
he he's rough around the edges,
yeah, right.
put it mildly.
Yeah.
And so his school of thought is, you pimp them out for what you can get and you move on. No feelings.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. But realizing that none of our boys share that same sentiment.
Amen. Because that was our era
Um,
growing up in the '90s.
right.
Yeah.
They equate a relationship to, I want to
Even before.
screw, and whatever that comes with, it is what it is. And it's just to be able to distinguish having sex with someone and being in a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
and having those
You got
open
some
dialogues.
loves. You got some loves and some likes. Yeah. Yeah, brother. That's
Just
brother Oliver. Yeah.
the conversations we've had to be a fly on the wall, but once they realized that we were not attacking them personally,
Yeah.
and we were just sharing our points of view,
And
then they started to get comfortable and ask different things.
Deborah
And they
said
had,
that she's been there, done that. Best news ever. Her kids are adults, and she wasn't interested in raising any more children. Have a seat. Let's have this conversation. Same basic conversation with the grandkids too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, it
Yeah.
just it's just really about being vulnerable and allowing your children to
Mm-hmm.
see, or tell them the mistakes that you've made in your own life.
Yeah.
Um, and really encouraging their father to have those conversations without me as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because he's not always comfortable with, oh, I got to do what now? And I'm like, they need to hear it from you.
Yeah.
They need to hear the difference between your other relationships versus ours.
Yeah.
What's different?
Yeah.
Because he was a, excuse my French, this is Facebook, right? Or
this is Zoom and Facebook.
Wrong. He was, you know.
He was I'm not going to call him a ladies' man.
Yeah. You know?
Right.
Yeah, he was love him and leave him.
Frank, somebody's laughing.
In the nice way.
Right. Right. But I think that's important because, like you said, when we have boys, this is something, I mean, I don't know if the conversation has shifted, and I will say this because the last person that I was having a discussion with, we talked about that, about learning how to date and actually, and being, especially being raised in the church and not knowing really how to date and how to meet a young person or, you know, or what to do when those sensations hit. You know, I had a revelation about it. I'll talk to you about it later, Frank, about men and their beingness and their ability to kind of just be good. But at the same time, they're not supposed to be alone for a reason, you know, after they've reached a certain level of understanding.
Right.
And I didn't want to unpack this now, but we're here, so let's talk about it. And the dynamics with the male-female with sex and our young men, and even some of our young men who are still withholding, or they haven't, you know, they're not engaged like we were. We didn't have, you know, we had a different dynamic. We didn't have social media in the early 90s and late 80s.
And I had to learn through my own sons how aggressive their female counterparts were.
Yes.
Because I was hearing on the news about, you know, being careful on social media and how, you know, you hear certain Facebook posts or, you know, about these girls engaging in these sexual acts, you know, at school. And I just,
it's mind blowing. Yeah.
And I'm asking
so it's almost like the tables are switched. Like we were raised in a generation where the men chased us. Yes. They chased us. I am still in that mindset, which is part of the reason I'm still single, is because I grew up understanding that a woman, you know, goes this way and a man, you know, comes to get her. Whereas these are...
And, you know, that's still true. I think that because our youth are not being taught dance.
Yeah, oh.
They have no
idea. Dance. You said it, Erica, the dance. It's a dance, yes.
They have no idea what their role is supposed to be. So when you're having these girls chasing these guys, they're not getting direction from where are they getting the direction from?
And so my own son
had to say, Mom, they are in our DMs like you would not believe. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And they're laughing, and they're like,
girl,
get comfortable talking to you about
I'm talking about
like,
14-year-olds, like the positions that we learned when we became grown adults. I see these 14-year-old girls on Instagram, and I'm going, this is what you guys are looking at, or this is what, you know, and I'm still talking about respect and the way you talk to a person, and it's like, the competing factors of what they're actually experiencing on a day-to-day basis with some of our young women, which is why I'm passionate about plug, all things pink, Girls and Pearls, 3 generations of conversation, and getting together to have the dialogue with all generations of women on better practices, wisdom, and healing points for all of us. And it's amazing. And to teach, and we need, and I love that. We're going to call it the dance, you know, talking about the dance of the male. Frank, I'm going to be looking for you very soon, brother. The dance of interpersonal relationships with the opposite sex. That's a lot of big words I just said for male, female, you know, getting to know each other. Because I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to be a little controversial, I'm not going to call it friendship. Like, you know, my male friend actually called me, was it on his birthday, day after? I talked to Jarrell after his birthday. That was my friend from high school. Okay, we can do that, Frank. We can do that.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
talked to him, and it had been a couple years, but that's my friend. Whereas dynamics, as I meet people now, want to introduce friendship with benefits or without understanding, and I'm like, I'm not with that. Like, I know I'm different, but I'm still a. This is black, this is white. When it comes to this dynamic, I was raised in the late '80s and '90s. Like, I'm not unaware of the lingo and the game. Let's call it like that.
Right.
That still is here, but I am understanding that our young men are experiencing a different type of woman than I was raised to be. Like, my mom still asks me, "Do you have on a slip with that dress?"
Right.
No, Mom, I'm going to the club. I do not have on those slips. I'm going to a lounge. No, and I'm not putting on no stockings either, Maria. So.
Well, yeah, I want to share. I'm going to try and make this story as quick as possible.
Yeah, because I know you're on your lunch break. So I'm going to go ahead. We're going to wrap it up.
Okay. As a parent, I'm going to share this story with you all. So one of our, I'm going to try and, I'll try and make this as
PG.
Not necessarily PG. I don't want. He's gonna kill me if he hears about it.
Ooh, and why you do that? Tyrone's talking about he grew up in a time of growing out and getting numbers at the beach and social events and a time of courtship. Whereas, now girls are like, boom, this is my number, this is my address.
Okay, so one of my sons is, I won't say he's shy, because he really isn't, but he is not the aggressor in terms of male-female relationships.
Okay.
And so I guess he was friends with this young lady.
Okay.
And come to find out, this young lady had been in a abusive relationship prior to him.
Got it.
And had 2 children come out of that. Mm-hmm. And her abuser in jail. And I think they were friends. And in my opinion, it's probably not his opinion, but in my opinion, he feels the need to have to help someone. Mm-hmm. And they got together, and he assumed the role of the provider for her. Now, mind you, he's early 20s. Mm-hmm. Still trying to figure life out, but is trying to be this everything for this young lady and her 2 children. And there were so many things that derived from this situation, from him being put out of the house because their dynamic, this young lady was looking for a, she liked the rah-rah in the relationship because that's what she was brought up on. Her abuser was older and really kind of showed her the ropes in terms of a relationship. Okay. This young lady thought that it's okay to have these meaningless arguments because that's a part of what that's supposed to be. And the relationship was tumultuous. He, against our wishes, he continued to see this young lady, and it was very aggressive and just ups and downs to the point where he was put out of the house for various reasons, and made a decision that he was going to be with this woman, and they lived in a hotel.
Get excited.
And we kept thinking, oh my goodness, like, oh Jesus, what is going to happen in this situation? I mean, he's barely working. They don't have transportation. They're living in this hotel situation with these 2 kids. Okay. And she's, looking for the ups and downs. And he's not used to that. But he really felt the need to really want to take care of her, but couldn't take care of himself. So they're in this situation for months, scraping by to live together against her parents' wishes, against his family's wishes, and just really were, trying to make a go of this hot mess of a situation. Long story short, he calls us one day just crying his eyes out, and he doesn't know why he did this thing. He lied about certain situations in order for us to like her.
Right.
Like situations that could have potentially put everybody in danger. And then wanted to proceed to ask us for what he should do. As a parent, we're like, oh my goodness, we could kill him right now.
Right.
Because had he listened to us in the first place and left the girl alone, she is not damaged in the way that he can't fix her. You're still learning about yourself as it is. And now you've taken on this extra weight and you have no idea what to do about it. How do we coach him through this situation?
Wow.
We give him some, advice, and, you really need to get yourself together before you can take care of somebody else. And he has a baby, my first grandbaby, and they're a hot mess. And this girlfriend doesn't appreciate him talking to the baby mama because she likes to rah-rah, and she wants to control him, and he don't know what to do, and they're stuck in this one-room hot mess. And now he's like, oh my God, the world is ending. What do? I don't want to hurt anybody or myself. And we're like,
you like, screw everybody. You should listen to us to begin with. Yeah.
Come home and deal with yourself.
Yes.
But that wasn't working, because the very next conversation was, we give him all the PC stuff. No, son, you really, in order to be a man and take care of a family, you need to step up. But the next conversation was, we want to get married.
And you know what? And Tyrone is saying this is a modern day youngsters. We're going to have to unpack this at another time, because I know your lunch break is done. Just about.
Okay, I got a little bit of time.
Okay.
I'm flexible.
And Tyrone is saying that, this is a modern day same type of scenario with our young children. And Deborah saying that she dealt with this with her son playing professional ball and the different women that will come after him. And so, there is, I, on one hand, I kind of admire these young children that it's like a Romeo and Juliet type of thing. Like, we love each other. We're going to be, I mean, when I say admire is not the word, but, I appreciate it. Let me say appreciate.
No.
Because, our generation was like, we were not about connecting at that level. We were about, like you said, you were the first of us to get married. And it was like unheard of. We were like, what? Huh? Like, no, we don't do that. We got to go to school. We got to go get a job. We got to go get our whole life situated. And
right.
Is marriage really supposed to be a part of that? I don't think so.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And that's a whole nother situation, because I beat myself up about it because I wasn't following what we were doing at
culture.
That time.
Yeah.
And it looked so different. And why did I even do this? And I have nobody who can really support me in this role. I really suffered a lot at that point.
And I think I want to go back.
I felt bad that I wasn't in school like my friends were. And that I wasn't doing the college and then get a job and then, get married.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you, Michael Fry.
Shout out to Mike Fry, if you're watching.
Yeah, we can tag him or whatever, but he really made it plain for me, because I think he had reached out to me, and I said, it sucks right now, because I'm supposed to be at our little reunion without this kid and without this attachment, and really telling you all of my accomplishments. And he said, you are managing a big life, and all your peers have to do is go to school.
Wow.
That is
completely
worth sharing.
Yeah.
And he really kind of flipped it. Of course, it didn't make me feel any better because at that point. But then I could appreciate my journey, because I was bringing something completely different and still trying to finish school.
Right.
But before we go, I just want to go back to that story and how now they wanted to get married. And we're like, oh, good graciousness. And I thought, you know what? okay, this is where we're going to go with this. You guys come to the house and we'll talk about how this marriage is going to play out.
Right.
And my husband is like, you're going to do what? And I'm like, okay, they want to get married. Let's give it to them.
Okay.
And so they both came. She brought her kids. You know, I set them up with bubbles. And I asked her, do you really appreciate the way that he treats you? Do you like the way that he's treating you?
Wow.
And she was able to be honest, and she said, well, no, not really. And I asked her, why would you want to marry somebody who doesn't treat you well?
Wow.
And she hadn't even thought about it. She had not given it not one thought. And she kept introducing his daughter's mother, and he doesn't share that with me. And I as an adult, now I can say, that's none of your business. Just like you have a father that you converse with, that's none of his business. You can't control that. And these youngsters try to control your entire life, and then they don't have it together.
Wow.
And so we really, I just said, okay, this is your reality. You guys are going to get married. You got a piece of a job. She's selling Obama phones. Excuse me, because you don't buy an Obama phone.
Right.
But she hustling Obama phones. He's working at a part-time.
He said in love with being in love. Exactly, Tyrone. Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she don't have no car. He trying to get his car fixed so he can give it to her because that's all she wants. And I'm like, how are you guys going to save money? You're spending how much a night on this hotel? Let's just do numbers. Let's just face the facts. You're spending $1,000 and you guys don't even make $600. How are you going to get out of this situation? Do you think you should have stayed home? How about just saying, my daddy don't like you, so you can't come around here. Let's just agree to meet up, but at least we both have places to live.
Right.
They hadn't thought about any of all of that, any of that.
Okay.
And now you're going to get married, and you're going to put her where, since you're the head of the household, who can't get her from point A to point B, or these kids, and then how does your daughter fit into the situation? And we just laid it out. Yeah. It is still their choice. And we left it at that, and I prayed that something would stick.
Right.
Because at that point, I don't know what to do but lay out the truth and the reality of the situation that they're
You said lay out the truth and the reality. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. The truth is, okay, you guys love each other. The reality is, you can't even take care of yourself. And I'm telling her, look, young lady, would it not have been, she elected to leave her father's house to be with him. She didn't get put out. He did. Why would you leave that sanctum to be with him? Honestly, does it make you feel better? And I understand that. Just dealing with their honest thoughts about it. You see, I'm scratching.
Yeah, because I'm like, this is a topic we're going to continue at another point. We're going to pause here because it's amazing. Like some of the things, like it's different being 40 plus and dating. And one of the things that I have learned is and watch is that marriage and relationship is about partnership. Like, how can you partner in life for the best of each other?
It's about partnership. It's about telling the truth even when it hurts. It's about putting yourself first also.
Yeah. So if you're doing all that,
where I have had to say, I am doing this for me, whether you like it or not. And it doesn't diminish who you are for me.
It's just that I need to do this.
For me.
And Tyrone said partnership and communication. And he also said during our time, we grew up with ideas of plans and goals. Today's young people are living in the moment. Yeah.
Yes. They are. Very much so. I agree with you.
And so if we're planning for partnership and we're planning for communication, then that means dating is about, and I heard someone else say this, I think it was Bishop Greg Davis on Instagram. He said dating is about collecting data. And so in my mind goes, if we're collecting data, at any time, any person can go, before the marriage, can go, I have enough data to make a decision in favor or against. And you can't be mad at that. But my job is to collect the data.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, even in my own relationship, I took time off from my divorce to rediscover myself and to figure out what it is that I want for the rest of my life, which was not to be with anybody, first of all. But the situation came along, and I was very honest from the jump. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm willing to accept. And this is what I cannot do. And I was shocked that someone was like, okay, I could get with that. Because I didn't expect that. I was expecting to push them away. And here we are 12 years later. You know, I was expecting, look, you got 3 years, because in 3 years, you should know if you want to spend the rest of your life with me or not. Other than that, I have to bounce. And he was like, yeah, okay, I'm with that.
You're like, why are you still here? Shout out to Brother May. Hey, Brother May, when you see this, because I'm going to tag Erica. I love it.
Yeah, I thought I was really, you know, trying to get out of the situation, you know, because I did not think I would ever want to be here again. So I'm going to just kill him with the truth. And it works if you believe in your truth. Yeah. I believed in my truth, but I never expected anybody else to jump on board. I just said it just like, okay, either you understand what I'm saying or you gonna not call me no more.
And I'm okay with that.
And I got another phone call, and I was like, well, hot damn. Well, okay, now what do I do? But it started from there. The communication, the truth of it all. Yeah. Being in a long-distance relationship at that point. Wow. And some other things, you know, were going on. And
putting God in your relationship is key.
I just, from that point, I had made a vow to God that I would always honor him first, and then that I would always place me high on my list. Yeah. And not to sacrifice or lose myself ever again. And there were difficult times where we both lost jobs and egos came into place, and I really had to be sat down by God to say, this situation is temporary, but your integrity is forever. Integrity. What do you sacrifice? Situation or your integrity? Wow. And I was done with sacrificing my integrity just to go along.
Wow. I love it. Integrity. Wow.
And that was tough for me because I'm a peacemaker. I'll go along to get along. Like Grandma used to say, go along to get along. I don't want any waves. But there's no growth without those waves. And so
there's no growth without those waves. Girl.
Right. Yeah. So I learned that if I'm going to stay true to myself, I have to speak my truth. Yeah. Whether it's hurtful or not, because the intent is not to be hurtful. The intent is to be heard. Yeah. So.
Woo, girl, I think we've hit a few
like
nuggets.
2 years of my life. I know, look. 40 more.
Thank you. Facebook, I hope you guys enjoyed this dialogue with Erica. We talked about a little bit of everything, and we understand now we really need to get back into that. Frank, I think he said he's going to talk about it tonight. The male-female dynamic and relationships, intimacy, and so much more. Partnership,
and
communicating,
intentionality in everything that you do.
Being intentional.
That's important.
Being intentional. I think if anything that I would give to everyone during this time of the pandemic, and what I did in the beginning was I really just got still, because I was like, wait, everything just moved, and when things start moving and shifting, that's not the best time to make a move. It's like, let me see ahead. Let me calculate some steps. Let me make sure my footing is solid. So if I got to leap, I can do so. You know, if I got to maneuver, if I need whatever I need to do, I need to be in position. And so I got quiet, and getting quiet for me is a lead into becoming intentional, because now my thoughts and what I do and what I say and who I'm talking to, what I watch, you know, all leads up to a purpose so that we can come out of this greater than we went in. So
because if you plan for everything, then you plan for the mishaps that are going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
When the shit hits the fan and you didn't have a plan, that's when you figure out, oh no, what am I going to do? But if you are constantly in planning mode, planning to be intentional, planning on being still, planning on your next move, and planning the move after that, and planning for what may or may not happen, it's a lot of work, but then you're not surprised by the outcomes.
Erica, this is good. I appreciate you. Thank you. As Erica would tell you, this is her first time. I want to say we going live, and we did dialogue last week, but now you can actually hear, and you'll be able to see her in a few moments when I upload this. And I just want to say thank you again. And I'll tag her if you got questions or if you want to just connect with her. You'll see her on Facebook. Love you.
Yes, I am a vessel, and my life is always up for discussion, whether I like it or not.
Blended family and more. You can too come to the orange tree and have a full discussion.
There's a lot of growth that came from that, and so
yeah, it's exciting.
Right, bring your chair.
All right, Facebook, I'm gonna sign you off over here.